What's up, guys? It's Angelica Lawrence back again on behalf of my company, F.A.T.E Global, the Foundation for Artistic Talent and Empowerment. We provide financial services as well as mentorship services to artists. So, hey guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us. We've been spotlighting artists every day this week, actually. And so we're going to be spotlighting Yohance Myles, who'll be in with us in just 1 second at 6 o'clock. So thanks for staying tuned with us. We're hoping that you're being inspired by these gems that these artists are leaving, that you're following all of our social platforms. I went on and I tagged Yohance's profile there, the F.A.T.E Global profile, as well as my profile. So connect with us all across the board so you can see different updates regarding, artists' live interviews, casting opportunities, and talkbacks, things of that sort within our community. We're hoping that you're inspired and that you're learning from these experiences that are being shared with you. Let's go ahead and send this to Yohance so we can get him in here with us. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, he'll be in here briefly. Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for joining us. And we'll get started. Again, once we start, if you have questions, just put them in the question box instead of the comment box so we can make sure that we're able to answer everyone's questions. Hey, Yohance, he's in the building. So let's just go ahead. He'll send us a request and then we'll join. Awesome. This is great. So it's working very well. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming in. Hi,
What's
Yohance.
up? And
How are
Angelica, how you
you?
doing? I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Amazing. We get so excited. When we see faces nowadays.
All right, awesome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you great. Let me just set this up because for
Awesome.
some reason the camera's cutting out there. Okay, perfect.
That's
How you
fine.
doing? How's your day going?
My day is going pretty good for a Friday. It can be typically busy with the little ones. We have little ones, 4 and 2 year old that's around the house, doing their
Oh,
thing
wow.
all
Yeah.
day, every day. So this was a pretty relaxing Friday for me so far. What about yours?
It's going pretty good, pretty good. I had to get some work done. I actually teach 4 classes at Georgia State, so they're still online. Grades are due this week in like 3 days. So I'm just bogged down with emails, and you know how that goes.
Busy
Yeah.
educator. I know that educator's life, that professor life, and
Mhm.
yeah, the work continues.
Mhm. It
Are you
doesn't stop.
so? Have
Absolutely.
any of your students reached out to you to check on you? Besides wanting the grades for the semester, so how's that been going?
I mean, honestly, they have. Some of them have checked on me, but it was more so, where's my grade? I hope you're okay. It
I hope
wasn't
you're
really a
okay,
check on. It
and,
was
and I
just
hope your hand is doing real good, and I hope your memory is fine. Give me those grades.
right, right. It was just more so I need my grade. I'm getting anxiety. I'm panicking here, and I just want to make sure I have the A. It was more of a that type of
Oh my
thing.
God. You're not
But yeah,
alone. We're going to check on you to make sure you're not alone. But send those grades.
right,
Golly.
right. Awesome. Well, let me let you know what we're doing, Johannes. Basically, guys, for you guys that are just joining in with us, as you can see, I went on and I pinned Johan's Instagram handle there. Mine's is there as well as F.A.T.E Global, the company that is hosting this. So we've been spotlighting artists every day this week, bringing them in here, kind of allowing them to share their experiences within the industry, hoping that they can inspire our audience. And so basically, F.A.T.E Global, it's a company that I started. It's a nonprofit foundation, and it stands for the Foundation for Artistic Talent and Empowerment. So what we do is we provide mentorship services and financial services for artists. And so with everything going on, we've been, diving into this virtual aspect. And so we've just been targeting artists that we think stand as role models within the community and allowing them to come on here and just share their experiences because thousands of people watch these interviews on the replay. So we got you today. So we really appreciate you coming in here. You could be doing anything. You could be playing with the little ones, but you came in here to just drop some gems. So we really appreciate you for that.
Thank you for the invite. I'm honored that you reached out to me, and I accept that invitation with all humility and God's grace. And so I'm hoping something that is said will resonate to someone out there to continue to inspire them. As I look forward to, we have Karen. What's up, Karen? On here live with us, and as I look,
What's up?
for others, I keep up with everyone else to stay inspired myself, and so that's what we do. We just keep passing the baton and keep on moving towards that platform of greatness that we all hope to achieve together, in some sense. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All
I
right.
love that. Well, let's just jump into it. I know a lot of people are probably wondering because you see people's success. You don't see people's success story. Actually, you just see their highlights. So, can you
Right.
kind of speak to how you kind of got into the entertainment industry? How did that happen for you?
Oh wow. So I'm gonna condense it. Um, Outside of the training that I received, pretty much my background going to college, going through college and getting that degree in training from Dr. Tania Stewart. I went to Alabama State University. Big shout out to all
Okay.
the HBCUs. I
Shout
went to
out.
Alabama State, University, and received my training there. Pursued graduate school training at LSU.
Wow.
Shout out to my family. I'm from Birmingham, so we have this
Okay.
dynamic in the family. I went to LSU. My family, my mother is an Auburn fan. My brothers are Alabama. All my friends are Alabama fans. I love Alabama. Love my roots.
Yeah.
My father-in-law is Mississippi State. My mother-in-law is Ole Miss, and so we have this whole
Y'all
rivalry
all
in the house.
look. Y'all all over the place at family
Look,
reunions. Come on
and
now.
my wife went to USM, University of Southern Mississippi. So hey, look here, and so so I went to graduate school and further my training. That was the nature of that came from Dr. Stewart, my mentor, professor, director in college, who urged me
Mm-hmm.
to just continue to add on to that education, that knowledge base for me. Now, my path is different from anyone else, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because as I just shared with you, my training, someone
Right.
out there would say, well, do I go to school for it? Do I need to go to
Right.
school? And so to each is not his own, to each is his own choosing
Mm.
outside of the guidance or the influence that they can receive, but it's your
Mm-hmm.
choosing. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
not on our paths alone. So that whole
Right.
phrase of to each is his own, I don't, it takes a village to raise a family. So we
Yeah.
all are connected some way, but it's your
Right.
choosing, right? In
Mm-hmm.
your path. So I went to graduate school. Now that's theater. It's
Mm-hmm.
so easy for people to forget with me that I come from the theater background
Right. Right.
because
Right. Right.
at this season in my life mostly has been the film and television, but I'm theater
Mm-hmm.
trained as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
shout out to New Stage Theater because my family and I, we reside in Mississippi. And though I have roots, and again, in Alabama, Georgia, living in Louisiana, Baton Rouge. So I'm kind of a Southern boy. I'm a true Southern boy, right?
You
Um,
can really claim it and own it.
I can claim it and own it. Haven't lived in Florida or Tennessee or the Carolinas, but I promise you, my branches extend to all of those places as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I started my film and television career in 2000. Well, first off, I had this conversation very briefly with Brian White when we shot Ambitions. My first
Okay.
TV or movie project was an extra in Stump the Yard. And
What?
yeah, I was an extra. And
I
yeah,
love Stuff Yard.
the the one and only time that I was an extra, and by all means, I'm not knocking anyone who does extra work or background
Right.
work. I believe in
Right.
getting the exposure, be an extra so you can see what that atmosphere looks like. Be a
Absolutely.
background player to see what the atmosphere looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You are what you eat, and you need to kind of have that, like try it on, just to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to say you want to do it, but just go to the space and the environment,
Yeah.
try it on, and see how comfortable it fits.
Mhm.
And
That's
so,
good.
as an extra, I sat on set, for 12, the 12 or 13 hours that day they shot that particular scene. Never made the cut because it was my first time being the extra. I was excited. And I remember seeing, Brian White, Columbus Short, Megan Good. It's the scene when they go into the stadium, and I think they were getting off the buses. And I was
Mm-hmm.
a extra with some other lady, and we was in a van, and it's like we had to walk in together and act like we were a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And that day, I learned something. I just remembered I had been in college at that time for a good minute, getting this training and degree and saying something. Right, I'm a
Yeah.
storyteller. And I said, man,
Yeah.
them cats they look about my age, you know, we look like, if they can do that and I'm on set, you know, as an extra for 12 or 13 hours, I want to be able to say something. And so that
Yeah.
experience, that was my last time being an extra. I said, no, there's no way I'm going to go get a degree in training to be
Wow.
quiet.
Okay. I got stuff for that.
So my goal was to grow. So from Stump the
Yeah.
Yard as an extra, I did my first independent project in Tallahassee a little after that. And then when I moved to Louisiana in 2006, that was
Mm-hmm.
the birth of my film and television career path,
Mm-hmm.
while pursuing grad school, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. And having a family at the time. So again, my path
Oh,
is kind of,
really?
my story is totally different, you know, for the average. But yeah, that's how I
Mm-hmm.
got started.
Man, I love that you speak to that and you're so transparent because I know that it's other people that have families already and they feel that they're like, I don't know if I could actually pursue this career in acting because I have my family. So I love that you mentioned the fact that, yes, I had a family. Yes, I was in grad school. And yes, I was still pursuing my dream or passion or my purpose, because this is something I wanted to do. So I just showed up to the set, as an extra. And I realized, and the cool thing is that environment pushed you to another level. Because if you wouldn't have showed up to be an extra, you might have not have had that recollection. Like, I want to speak. I could speak too. But seeing those people,
Right.
and you seeing, what, I could be on the same level as them. So you went on and you did what it took to make that happen. Clearly, because of the things that you're doing now. So I appreciate you saying that, because we get so many people that come and they say, "Am I too old to start?
Right.
Am I
Right.
too this? I got the family, and I'm 40." But that none of that really matters in our industry.
And the
So,
family dynamic for me was, you know, my mindset was, and here's the thing, also having very key pillars of light, you know, on your path. You know, what are the light sources? Do you have like the street lamp on your path? You know, mine's are
mm,
pillars, right? With the, I'm talking about with the
mm,
blazing torches on them. And if it wasn't
mm,
for these individuals lighting up the path and imparting
nice.
into me, even in some, you know,
Yes.
moments, my immaturity and growth in some areas, whether spiritual, mentally, I knew
Mm-hmm.
for me, having a family was my responsibility. So I hear people say, well, I don't want to have to sacrifice my family or sacrifice this time or whatever. If you are out there watching this, and let's say you have little ones or teenagers or whatever, and you're an artist and you're pursuing whatever path that is, your family is now a part of your dream. You know, you're bringing them
Mm-hmm.
on that journey with you. They're not
Mm-hmm.
separate from it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
do you say, because with my sons or my children, I don't say, well, hey, listen, you know, your dad did this, and so you're gonna do that, and I hear
Right.
people go, you know, I see my little daughter, they're spinning around in circles, she's gonna be a dancer. No, that's just her finding her balance in her body, right? She's balancing
I
out her
love
nervous
that.
system. Number one, she's balancing out her nervous system. She's not going to be a dancer. She may not be. She will be. She could be. But you gotta take time with children if you have them, as a part of your responsibilities. You have
Mm-hmm.
to kind of watch with a keen eye what their talent may be. Now,
Yes.
because I'm succeeding in this area, I impart in them that there is greatness and you can go further than me. But you
Mm,
may not be an actor. I don't put that on any of my children. Like, listen, no, we're not going to push you in that direction. If you go into it, hey, guess what? You got not a large amount of shoes to fill with your father. You just know that you're walking in a path that's paid for you, that you can really go beyond your limits, in which, you know, however that
mm-hmm.
may be. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I encourage people to know that your family's a part of that. They may
Mm,
not, you know, you can teach them the business. They may not hang out on set. You may bring them to a red carpet, but they're not separate from your career and dream. You know,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and how you spoke to being aware of, the youth and their gifts at a very young age. When you were young, did you always know you wanted to be an actor, or did you kind of dabble in other things along the journey?
To be honest, my mother and my family knows this. I actually started out when I was little, maybe 5 or 6. Painting and sketching and drawing was all I did.
Really?
And then my mother, I remember in the 5th grade, somehow, as she keenly watched me with that keen eye, she put me in a concert band. So I played timpanis and snare drum, and then I was in a marching band. So I'm a drummer. So I do that. And then
Wow. People probably don't know that one.
and then my ninth grade in high school, I went back to pottery and sketching because I'm like, well, maybe the artist thing is in me. And
Mm.
I play sports, just to challenge myself, that to see if I had a heart, in that area.
Mm.
And then I play sports because
Right.
of insecurities. I'm a slim guy, I'm a slim guy. Back in the day, slim fit wasn't in. Now everybody want to be slim fit.
Everybody
Yeah,
want to be slim fit.
yeah. Back
Hey,
in the
flat
day,
tummy tea,
yeah.
whatever it takes.
in the South, we call it you po. He's so po, you know. Yeah, it's slim fit. The technical way of saying it is just you're slim, right? Fit.
Yeah.
But I play sports, to overcome, and to add on some courage to me, some dynamic in my personality, just to fight through some insecurities
Mm.
and but then it was in high school, my senior year. The buzz for performing landed, and it stuck with me. I did some modeling, my first modeling job. I think it was a job
Oh.
I had at 18. I modeled for J.C. Penney's. They used to have this team board. You used to work there and you could model for J.C. Penney's. And I did that when I was young. So I have some modeling
Nice.
experience. So most people probably don't know that unless you're from Birmingham and you were around me, knowing that I did these things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you kind of dabbled around a little bit and then came back to acting. And what was
Yeah.
that like when you decided to come back to acting? How did that recollection come for you? Where did that come from?
Most of it was class clowning around. That's what we called it.
Mm.
He's a class clown, but really the modern day term would be he's a great person who interacts socially. I was really good with socializing,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a great sense to my I guess as my friends would say, a great sense
Mm-hmm.
of humor or silliness. But we called it
Mm-hmm.
class clowning, and I didn't know that I could affect people with but if you meet me now in this season, most people say, man, he's so serious. He seems so, you know, and that's probably all the roles I played. Maybe the roles on my resume have not
Yeah.
really made me. They've kind of migrated this seriousness of energy with people. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
really, uh, if you ask maybe people from Birmingham, if you met them and say, hey, how was Yohance in middle school or high school? They're going to say, this dude was silly. He's the silliest person I met. Right.
I love that. I love that.
I knew I could do that. But
Mm-hmm.
then when that it was a play that was written by a young lady named Juliet Reed, blessings to you in Birmingham, and she wrote a play, and it was a story she wanted to tell, and I did it, and that experience was different from just joking around. When I
Mm-hmm.
realized in that auditorium in high school that everybody was sitting and listening, and I can impact them in that way, I said, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow." Well, then storytelling it might be. So I can
Mm-hmm.
probably, have a job out of this
Right.
thing that I'm doing that's called class clowning. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's how I gave birth to the performance stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I mean, you kind of spoke to, I mean, you've been blessed to have so many different opportunities. We saw you on Queen Sugar, Badland, Ambitions. And so, can you kind of speak to like maybe your favorite set experience or just even a character that you just really enjoy creating?
Um, um, you know what? And this is not some cliche to make myself sound very metaphorical or some type of analogy. I think
Uh-huh.
all of the characters and body of work that I've done have been very fun and interesting to create. I have a chance to sit back, and when people say growth, I can say again, mentioning earlier, starting out as an extra, no lines, becoming an actor who had one liners,
Mm-hmm.
becoming an actor who was on a series regular, and then you
Mm-hmm.
move forward, to
Mm-hmm.
day player, to maybe a lead role. And so the
Mm-hmm.
trajectory of growth in my career is a beautiful thing. So
Mm-hmm.
um are there some moments or projects I wish would have lasted longer?
Mm-hmm.
Ambitions would be
Mm-hmm.
one. um um uh, Into the Badlands will be another one. You know, there are some
Mhm.
characters, and you know that's the business. You know,
Mhm.
as you learn that some seasons or some opportunities are beautiful and bright and fruitful,
Mhm.
and then others can easily get cut. And I've learned, you know, the younger me will say, "Man, you know why? What happened?" And you
Mhm.
know, but as you learn the business, you know some things can go left or right. So
Mhm.
my body work has been thus far that which has been completed, all of it
Mhm.
has been my favorite because that's what I've been awarded at the in those seasons to do. So when I
Mhm.
approach my work, I'm going to give you 110 in everything that I do. If it lasts longer than what is expected, I am blessed. But if it was for that, my stamp is on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're so
Yeah.
transparent about stuff like that. You know, some other actors, they don't understand the behind the scenes. Like, for example, you mentioned Ambitions, and that was a successful hit show. And so, with that being
Mm-hmm.
canceled, can you kind of speak to like how you stay balanced when stuff like that happens? You give it your all, and you show up and you work to this place, but then something goes, you get a plot twist. Can you kind of speak to that for an artist that's experiencing that, as well as why that type of stuff even occurs on the back end?
Well, one of the things that I would teach my students is that, and you hear people say, um, maybe we were taught, what is your plan B? What's your second option? Well,
Mm,
when you understand the business again, as actors, even when we were shooting Ambitions, I'm also auditioning for other stuff, you
period.
know, because we do know there's a beginning and an end to some things, right? You're
Mm-hmm,
blessed if
mm-hmm.
you have multiple seasons.
Right.
Um, the growth of it is that if a show has multiple seasons and the viewers love it, then you can create, right? And you can
Mm-hmm,
expand on that. But then I have
mm-hmm,
some people who I am friends with that work all the time. You can also be isolated, and then that's that one thing that you're doing, and you
mm.
don't have time to get to anything else.
Right,
So it's
right,
like a
right.
double-edged sword. You know, it could be, you
Mm-hmm,
know, a blessing and a curse at the same time. So I
mm-hmm,
just knew that again in my spiritual growth. You know, I'm not
mm,
talking religion. My spiritual growth with God was that however it meant for me, then I
mm.
will attach myself to it, right?
Love
And
it.
then if I'm released from it, whether it's business or whether my ancestors say, "Hey, dude, moving on," you
Moving
know,
on. Come
moving
on, we
on
got somewhere
into
else to
something
go.
else, then I'm okay with that. Some people are, and I think that just comes from learning the business. You know, you can't
Mm-hmm.
really get offended or shove down people's throats. Listen, that's just how it is. If they don't know the
Yeah.
business, they just don't
Mm-hmm.
know the business. So I'm not affected by stuff that can happen because I've learned. I'm learning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So your spirituality has kept you balanced. And so I love that you mentioned
Always.
that as well. That's amazing. So, you people see you and they're like, oh, he was a lead on this and he's in this show, and they see your highlights. But like you said, they haven't seen the trajectory unless they're from where you're from and saw you in those
Right.
print ads, JC Penney's and stuff like that. So can you kind of speak to some of the adversities that you faced and kind of how you overcome them, like your whatever works for you?
Well, I'm going to speak, and again, for many of the actors and guest actors you can have on here, there's so much wealth of knowledge. So again, if I'm not answering this to many of you that are watching this from one specific answer you're looking for, I'm only going to speak from my truth and my path, right? And again, this is just a for some a glimpse in my world, but
Mm-hmm.
trust me, in order to know someone, really truly know them, you're gonna have to walk in their shoes. Take a mile walk in
Mm-hmm.
their shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm blessed to have this opportunity to answer this. So for me, my challenge and adversity is family,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the family adversity, and people go, well, you just said a few minutes ago you made them a part of your dream. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're part of the journey. They're a part of the dream that I have, but there are challenges with maintaining what that is. So
Yeah.
sometimes, if something was a great moment and it needed my time, a lot of it, then the
Mm-hmm.
balance has to be home and family. Like how,
Mm-hmm.
we love what you're doing, but we want you here.
Yeah,
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 sometimes there's a lot of time I have with family, and then it's like, okay, well, when is your next thing? Because we got you here, but we also want to see you do this. And so
yeah.
someone would say, listen, you can't please everybody, but I have to correct that and say, if it is something you've added to your life, if it's a dynamic that you chose to bring into your world and space, you're not pleasing. Maybe again, maybe we need to change the word. You're learning to you're admiring how to balance the responsibility. I'm just going to keep that word, responsibility, of all of it. I'm a Taurus, but I've learned somehow most of my career has been trying to be a Libra,
I'm a Libra. I'm a Libra.
balancing the doggone scales of life,
You
right?
gotta, you gotta be, you got. Hey,
Hey,
that's how we like it.
and every now and then, that Gemini kick in, and that's that twin
Hey,
personality. 1 minute I have to, and then the other
one,
minute, right?
what?
And
You
then
speaking to
you,
me?
yeah, and then it's the fish, and then it's all of that. So I think um that's my adversity is, if I can put it in a way, it's sometimes being myself without being seen, and
Mm,
then at other times it's being seen without being judged,
mm.
right?
Man, you got these gems. You dropping these gems today now.
So
Look.
that's what, that's the challenge. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want
Wow.
to be seen
That's
but not
amazing.
seen. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
a
be seen but
word.
not judged. So hey.
That's a word. I love that, man. You speaking gems today. If you guys are not taking something away from this, it's because you ain't listening. So I really hope you taking notes. Somebody said, I love how you're being real about your family and balancing responsibility.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That transparency is
yeah.
everything. Again, if you guys have questions, put them in the question box instead of the comment box so I don't have to scroll up and look through them. We have him here to answer your questions. So again, put them in the question box, guys. So just kind of moving forward, I know not from a place of regret because everything is a lesson and a learning experience, but
Mm-hmm.
if you can go back and tell the younger version of yourself, because I'm sure the younger version of yourself is going to be watching this, what is something that you would say to him?
um do Yeah, the younger version of me. Well, honestly, I I'm sorry, but I said this way. My children are the youthful version of me,
Mm.
but the more updated version of me.
Uh-huh.
So it will be to me saying, in a sense, take your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we know these things. People say, you are what you eat. So your 5 friends, or the top 3 people you talk to the most or you're around the most, that's what you kind of will gravitate to. So
Mm.
you don't get to choose your family, but choose your friends very wisely.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any choices that are made, don't live with regrets.
Mm.
If you make them, someone in a show one time jokingly said, actors, if you mess up on set, just make sure you do it with conviction. Like, just commit to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
commit fully to all of the things that you decide,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, self-awareness, self-worth is a must.
Mm.
Um, love, the verse says, love thy neighbor as you love thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Love thyself the way, love thyself.
Love
Love
thyself.
thyself
Say that about 5
before
times.
you
Love
can love
thyself.
thy neighbor. I know we hear that because it's backwards. Love thy neighbor
Yeah.
as thyself. So then
Yes.
sometimes we get to focus on the neighbor and we haven't taken care of self. So love
Mm.
thyself and love
Mm.
thyself, then you can go
Mm-hmm.
love thy neighbor, right?
And love thyself again.
Right. And so you are who you are. That's the thing. With insecurities, they will happen. With growth,
Mm.
you're trying to define yourself. Don't put
Mm-hmm.
yourself in a box. My
Mm-hmm.
last comment is that I would tell myself, if you are a power source, be very careful of the people that you have plugged into yourself. Like if you're the
Mm.
socket on the wall,
That's a
like,
word.
you know, if you got a socket that has two things, so maybe two is enough you can handle. But if you got
Mm.
that one extension cord and it has four other things that you can plug into it that's connected to
Mm-hmm.
the wall, that's a lot of people pulling from you.
Mm.
So make sure
That's
you
a
know how,
word.
yeah, because that same power you give out may not be reciprocated. So I would tell the younger
Mm-hmm.
me, be very wise in what you give out, especially with your gifts and your talents. Like Sidney Poitier in his book, A Measure for the Measure of a Man, he says one
Mm-hmm.
powerful thing. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something that I've gauged myself in
Mm-hmm.
my career. He said, when it comes to your gift and your talent, this is what I would tell my younger self, and I'm telling the younger people and those who are watching.
Mm-hmm.
Your gift, your talent, that's the one area you cannot make compromise, room for compromise. That's the one area that belongs to you. You can let somebody borrow $5, the shirt on your back, some food at your house. But my gift and talent, I cannot bend too much on that one. That one belongs to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was born with that one.
Mm.
My name,
Love
I got
that.
that one too. Yeah, my name, they gave me my name. That's my ownership and my gift and my talent. Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't choose my family. Got the love, the good and the bad of that. But my name and my talent, I cannot move and budge on that one. Yeah.
Wow. Man,
Yeah.
I was inspired by that myself. The plug, you are a power source. I haven't heard
Yeah.
it that way. You know,
Yeah.
of course, I'm aware of that, but I haven't heard it that way. So I love the way you
Yeah.
broke it down like that because when you think of it that way, you're
Yeah.
going to be way more cognizant about who you let and take energy from you, how you exchange your energy with people
Yeah.
and allowing people in your space. So, wow, that was
And when you
phenomenal.
and when you grow to yourself, a lady told me this one day in a retail store, and she even put it even in a bigger way for me. Some of us, those that are watching, you ever seen
Mm-hmm.
that gate? There's a gate that has on a sign on it. It's like an electrical fence, but it has a sign that says high
Mm-hmm.
voltage.
Yep.
Keep out.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Keep.
of our gifts, some of us are very like powerful, and some people can't handle that. They try to control you.
Mm,
They have an idea in your head of what they think you should be, and if
that's
you don't mount
facts.
to that, whether on your job, whether your friends, and the idea is that they're not. It feels like you can be attacked. It feels like you're being challenged. It feels like the
Mm-hmm.
career is trying to move you and shake you, but a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it is trying to contain some high power voltage, some energy that you have that you may not even
Mm.
understand. See, I'm
Wow.
slowly but surely. I'm not on social media a lot because I'm still going within and I'm understanding. Man, I have this powerful thing in me, and I'm trying
Wow.
to figure out how to put it out. And you
Wow.
know, because once it's
Wow.
out there, the human life is very complex, right? And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's raw, it's simple, it's
Mm-hmm.
visceral, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
hard complexity
Mm.
to represent at times, especially with a powerful gift that you carry. So you got to
Mm-hmm.
figure out that thing. So I move slower than the average. You know, most people will
Mm.
go blue check mark. Man, you worked on this. Why are you not doing more? And I go, man, listen, trust me, it can be overwhelming. So I have to be very, very strategic in how I do
Mm.
things. Right? Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
really do.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you're super balanced and grounded. I love that.
Yeah.
You also spoke earlier about how, you have a tribe and you actually shout out people that have helped you along your journey. You're
Oh
not
yeah.
closed lipped about that. So I love that. Can you kind of speak to the importance of relationships within this industry? Because some people don't really think they're as important as they should be, I think.
Yeah. The relationships are very important, but again, it's just wise counsel is even more important, right?
Mm,
There's a difference between having people, and I love how my father-in-law would say, you know, hey, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can listen to you. You can share with me. You can talk with me. You still got to make that decision. But
mm,
even at the same time, you could talk to the right person. But sometimes I'm praying I'm talking to a wise person.
mm,
See, you know, yeah, yeah.
mm,
There's a difference between making a good decision and
mm,
a wise decision.
mm,
There's some good stuff. Like there's some good decisions I made, and still on the back end, I was like, dang, that felt good, but that wasn't the
mm,
wisest thing, right? So I'm
mm,
equally, I feel equally balanced, even when
mm,
I'm off the scene. I speak to the like Kaylin who's on here, one of the brothers, the Kings. I say because he likes to all call us King. If you know Kaylin Riley, um,
yeah,
um,
I love calling my
yes
brothers
sir.
kings too, because
There's
that's
some
what y'all
brothers
are.
and some men and some young ladies and some females out there that I kind of talk to and stuff, and they keep me
Mhm.
balanced. But these individuals are very, to me,
Mhm.
I can't tell what the perception is to other folks with them, but they're wise to me, and they keep
Mm.
it real and transparent, and that keeps
Yeah.
me level. Even when I'm off the
Love that.
scene, when I see them doing well, I don't think I miss a beat. You got some actors who will feel like, man, I'm not doing enough, I'm not booking enough. I just feel like you are what your company is. If I'm connected
Mhm.
to some people that are doing well, now, unless they're
Mhm.
not just going to tell me I'm your competition and I don't want to see you succeed, I don't get
Right.
into those dynamics.
Yeah.
But I look up to them and I'm like, man, they are accomplishing everything, and I
Mhm.
connect to their energy, and I feel like I'm on
Mhm.
that path too. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Absolutely.
relationships are
Yeah.
important.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. I love that. You've definitely inspired me just watching your journey on social media, and even you just always supporting the things that I do. So I appreciate you. Always great energy when we connect. You actually got some questions from our audience here. Some people,
cool,
let's see what they have to say.
cool.
Okay. Someone says, "What book would you recommend from learning the techniques of acting?"
Oh wow, man, there is so many out there. If you're
Mm-hmm.
talking technique, so I'm gonna answer this question. Um, Someone may say it's old school, but
Mm-hmm.
I come from the theater. So
Mm-hmm.
Uta Hagen, Respect for Actors. That's
Mm-hmm.
one. I know there's some updated stuff, everybody. Again, if it's
Mm-hmm.
old school for you, and it's like I heard of that one, fine.
Mm-hmm.
There are many books out there that I could recommend. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. You have to be in a class
Mm.
to execute what you're reading. Just
Right.
because you read it in a book does not mean you know it, or the
Yeah.
practical side of it, right? You can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it, I can post and share what
Mm-hmm.
a potential acting book list is, but I
Mm-hmm.
would highly recommend find an acting teacher that's out
Mm-hmm.
there that teaches a specific technique and
Mm-hmm.
get to different techniques. Some people get stuck with one acting teacher, and that acting teacher may cover a lot. There's some
Right.
techniques where people say, dish out all the techniques. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
teach you just from within. You have everything
Right.
already in you, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there's not one book, but that one that I just suggested is a foundation. The Respect for
Mm-hmm.
Actors. She just pretty much sets the foundation
Mm-hmm.
for character development,
Mm-hmm.
your approach to the work. So
Right.
acting is one thing, and maybe you need to go out there and research. There are books on script, interpretation of scripts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to take some improv. Some people need
Mm-hmm.
improv classes where it's not about
Mm-hmm.
reading in the book. You just need to get in an improv class and kind of just loosen up and
Yeah.
let
Just
that
let loose.
creativity. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll add, No Acting Please is a good book. Any
Yeah.
Eric Morris book I think is good, as well as a practical handbook for the actor seems to be pretty beginner friendly. So like
Right.
Johan says, there's so many different books that you can read, but if you're not actually practicing in class,
Right.
a lot of those books ask you to do different exercises. So a lot of them you can't do alone,
And
so you need to be in class.
what's the one? It's one called Acting for the Camera. What is the guy?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Tony. Is it Tony
Yeah.
Barr? Tony
I think that sounds familiar.
Acting for the
I'm sure they
Camera.
could find it on Amazon.
Okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's another one. Because in that
Mm-hmm.
book, he breaks down like there's a section that breaks down how scenes are actually shot and how in your script, things are blocked out in the scenes. Now, the idea is to give you an understanding of what directors and how they approach the work. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, you're going to need to extend that understanding by other books or other classes, right? So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Johannes, how have
Cool.
you been actually, staying creative during this quarantine time? I know you've been with the family.
Oh man. Outside of acting, I tend to my graduate school teacher, bless his soul, John Dennis, who's deceased. I've always, my mother was an educator, so she was always big on books. So for me,
Mm,
most of my time is trying to read.
nice.
Um, And I'm not an actor, although I'm observing. So actors observe quite a lot. I'm not sitting around with my little ones going, because people would say, you can learn a lot from little ones, as an actor. My
They
4-year-old,
do say
I'm
that.
not watching her going, that's a cool thing she's doing. Wow, she's so free and vulnerable. I'm literally
Funny.
going, will you please go to sleep?
All right, right,
No,
right.
sit down. Stop. Why are
Keep it
you
real.
doing that? So I'm
I like that. You
there's
keep it
a
real.
there's a lot of dad stuff that has nothing to do with acting, but
Uh-huh.
creatively, this quarantine has put me in a position for other stuff. I'm working on this Reverb the Word, which would be a kind of podcast, radio phenomenon that I'm working with Keisha
Dope.
Brown, Lady D. She's from Detroit. It's going to be all
Awesome.
spiritual, all hip hop, all culture, community type
Love
of
that.
thing. So it's in construction. The other stuff that
Mhm.
I'm doing, this is the opposite of what somebody probably would expect me to say. Creatively, for me, I'm in a building phase where I'm actually helping other people creatively move stuff forward. So I
Mm.
made a
That's like
post.
what you're doing right now with us here.
So I made a
Yeah.
post about when you hear producer or
Mm-hmm.
producing, most people naturally gravitate to filmmaking. But
Mm.
you are a producer of any
Mm.
content in which you have someone else's seed or fruit in your hand and you're able
Mm.
to water it and cultivate it, you're producing.
Mm.
So I
Wow.
don't know. You
Love
may not
that
have
one.
the title. So a lot of stuff that I'm doing, I don't have titles and ads for it because I don't get into
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
actually doing it. So I'm being
Yeah.
creative in a lot of ways that may not
Love that.
really speak to me as an actor.
Mm.
Um, I had a chance to work and do some work on the front line. Like people go, man, that's very dangerous. But I just wanted to, as an actor, you're also a humanitarian because you're reaching out to the community. You're reaching, talking
Mm-hmm.
about certain things,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's some injustice that happened. So when this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing happened with workers, the
Mm.
healthcare workers and the essential workers, for
Yeah.
me, um, well, in small ways, yeah, there are certain bills that still needs to be paid, and I can sit all day, wait on a residual, and wait for the
Right.
film industry to
Ain't
happen.
nobody got
But
time
I've
for
done,
that.
and I've done some work, but a lot of it
Mm-hmm.
really is gratifying because I've had a chance to do some essential work that actually helps the community. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what
That's
I've been
amazing.
doing.
That's
And
amazing. So you've been out there on the
someone
front line.
and someone approached me, and it was a beautiful thing that they said to me. They noticed me, and they said, hey, aren't you that guy for Ambitions? I said, yeah. They said, what are you doing out here? I said, I feel like I'm
Wow.
helping, I'm giving back. And she
Yeah.
said simply, this older lady, she said, thank you, because sometimes God will put you in places where people can have access to you. They need to have access to
Mm.
you. I'm a
Mm.
at-home quiet guy. I like to be at the house, backyard, front porch, at home. There's a lot of dad stuff that has nothing to do with acting, but
Uh-huh.
creatively, this quarantine has put me in a position for other stuff. I'm working on this Reverb the Word, which would be a kind of podcast, radio phenomenon that I'm working with Keisha
Dope.
Brown, Lady D. She's from Detroit. It's going to be
Awesome.
all spiritual, all hip hop, all culture, community type
Love
of
that.
thing. So it's in construction. The other stuff that
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing, this is the opposite of what somebody probably would expect me to say. Creatively, for me, I'm in a building phase where I'm actually helping other people creatively move stuff forward. So
Mm.
I made a
That's like
post.
what you're doing right now with us here.
So I made a
Yeah.
post about when you hear producer or
Mm-hmm.
producing, most people naturally gravitate to filmmaking. But
Mm.
you are a producer of any
Mm.
content in which you have someone else's seed or fruit in your hand and you're able
Mm.
to water it and cultivate it, you're producing.
Mm.
So I
Wow.
don't know. You
Love
may not
that
have
one.
the title. So a lot of stuff that I'm doing, I don't have titles and ads for it because I don't get into
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
actually doing it. So I'm being
Yeah.
creative in a lot of ways that may not
Love that.
really speak to me as an actor.
Mm.
Um, I had a chance to work and do some work on the front line. Like people go, man, that's very dangerous. But I just wanted to, as an actor, you're also a humanitarian because you're reaching out to the community. You're reaching, talking
Mm-hmm.
about certain things,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's some injustice that happened. So when this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing happened with workers, the
Mm.
healthcare workers and the essential workers, for
Yeah.
me, um, well, in small ways, yeah, there are certain bills that still needs to be paid, and I can sit all day, wait on a residual, and wait for the
Right.
film industry to
Ain't
happen.
nobody got
But
time
I've
for
done,
that.
and I've done some work, but a lot of it
Mm-hmm.
really is gratifying because I've had a chance to do some essential work that actually helps the community. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what
That's
I've been
amazing.
doing.
That's
And
amazing. So you've been out there on the
someone
front lines.
and someone approached me, and it was a beautiful thing that they said to me. They noticed me, and they said, "Hey, aren't you that guy for Ambitions?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "I feel like I'm
Wow.
helping, I'm giving back." And she
Yeah.
said simply, this older lady, she said, "Thank you, because sometimes God will put you in places where people can have access to you. They need to have access to
Mm.
you." I'm a
Mm.
at-home quiet guy. I like to be at the house, backyard, front porch, at home. I don't.
Wow.
That's just me. I've learned. I've learned this about me at this season.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
there have been some people, and just being there to help out with something essential, that have really said, "Man, just you being here talking to me. You seem so far away, but I've been able to be a
Mm-hmm.
blessing to some people, and it's been awesome." Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, we
Yeah.
truly appreciate you,
Yeah.
King, sincerely,
Yeah.
because even connecting with this audience here, and you are extremely
Yeah.
accessible. You're extremely down to earth, so I'm sure they're able to see that. You're not as far away as they think. You got another question. Someone wants to know something. They said, "Who is your favorite MC?"
My favorite
that's
MC.
that's what they want to know.
Now, when you say MC, I need them to specifically say, when I hear MC, are we talking about like a rapper, someone who spit bars, or are we
I'm
talking?
thinking they talking about a rapper. I mean, when you say
Okay,
MC,
now because I kind of have looked at myself as the underdog, there are some rappers who not necessarily, listen, no disrespect, they may not call themselves an underdog, they may call themselves although they probably do ghostwriting, but there's one guy who is at the top of my list, Sky Zoo. I don't know if you heard of Sky
Skyzoo.
Zoo.
I
Yep,
never heard
Sky
of
Zoo.
Skyzoo. I
Okay,
gotta step it up.
Sky Zoo. This is just me now. It may not be your trap. I listen to, 2 Chain, and I listen to some of that, right? But I'm a conscious person. And I like to, no offense to any of the music in the South. I grew up on Outkast and UGK, all that cool, right? I'm an
Mm-hmm.
80s baby. So in the 90s, you can imagine the music we had. But
Right.
I'm a conscious guy, so I need to hear what you're saying, and it needs to speak to my spirit and the energy in a sense. So Sky Zoo,
Mm.
Royce the
That's how I
five
am
nine
too.
from Detroit. Let me repeat that. Royce the 5'9" from Detroit.
I'm from
Um,
Detroit.
so you
Okay.
know Royce the 5'9".
I heard of Royce. I just never listened to his music.
I'm gonna get
Look,
you.
look.
I'm gonna
I
get
hope
you.
he don't hear this. I hope he don't see this interview because I'm gonna play it when we get off. I'm gonna play it, Royce. I'm gonna play it.
Okay. Yeah, my man's Fred the Godson who just passed away in New York. So, I grew up, my brothers and stuff were listening to other things. I mean, like Common and Nas, and Jay-Z, all of that. That was what I gravitated to. And that's probably the other seat. I'm also a guy, I'm a poet. I write poetry. So a lot of
Oh,
that, yeah. So I have a lot of little trades and talents, up my sleeve. So yeah.
yeah. Extremely creative.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, y'all. I'm not into rap. I'm just getting into rap like that. I just got into that side of myself. So,
Oh,
I don't know all the artists.
there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I don't have favorites. I don't like to box myself in favorites because, and I think musically, starting out with symphony music, like I said, and being in a marching band, and the guy who taught us in middle school marching band, he was a jazz guy. So listening to
Mm-hmm.
jazz music kind of opened me up to a lot of different like genres and
I love
styles.
jazz.
So I
I
don't
love jazz.
like, what's your favorite color? I wasn't that kid that had a favorite color. Like, I'm gonna use all these damn crayons in here. If I stick to one, that's just the one that's just hot right now. But I promise
Right.
you, I get the
Right.
purple and black when it's time.
I feel it. I feel it. I like that. I feel it. I feel it. You got another question. Someone says, "Can you speak on the duty of black men in the industry today?" That's a good question.
The duty.
Duty is
Wow.
strong word, but I like where they're going with that posing that question. Duty is strong though.
Well, the first thing you have to kind of understand when you say duty, you have to figure out what is the role. See, you create the role, and the duty sounds like the responsibilities of the role, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. See,
Mm.
see, if
I
I
think.
get, yeah, see, I have, as an actor, they can cast me as the character, but the duty or the responsibility of that character is to be X, Y, and Z. So a
Mm.
lot of people are asking that question, not just this individual who asked that, what is the duty of us? Well, we're still trying to define what is the industry's role for black
Mm.
men. And if it's more
Mm.
specific and it can
Word.
be more organic and can be more authentic, and if it can be
Absolutely.
something that's more empowering, then you'll
Yes.
see more black actors tackle the responsibility. But it's always been
Mm-hmm.
somewhat inconsistent. And the
Yes.
few black men that says I'm not going to be defined by what is now the role of a black man, because some of it is not what it is or could be.
100%.
The
Mm-hmm.
guys who have decided for themselves to say I know who I am, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm grounded with myself first. I'm not going to be
Mm-hmm.
defined by what those duties or that role that is being projected by the industry. And
Come on
those are
now.
the guys who don't get a lot of projection. They don't get a lot of, you know, um, like I said, that my favorite list of rappers. You may not hear of them unless you just know what they
Mm-hmm.
do, but a lot of them are conscious and they're woke.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
um, you can also not define black men. Let me say this again. You cannot define the black men or man by the roles that the film project or the TV series ask of him with his talent.
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
one
he's
percent.
he's creating a character that's for a specific job. It could pay the
That's
bills. It
it.
could be him
That's
building a
it.
resume. But that
Mm-hmm.
does not define the black men and who
Mm.
they are and their responsibilities for
Mm.
what people expect of us in the
Mm.
community. You got some
Mm-hmm.
black men that are doing community stuff, and you may see
Mm.
them play a different role and go, well, why the
Mm.
hell did he play that? But he out
Mm-hmm.
here talking about some breast cancer awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, their role is for their job. It ain't got nothing to do with his
Yeah.
breast cancer awareness or community drive that he's doing, or
Yeah.
blood
Yeah.
drive, or give to the youth, right? Now I know you're
Right.
saying he's on a platform, and he should, don't let your good be spoken evil of, and people look up to you. But that there's a difference between role and duties and idolizing people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that.
So
I
that
love
that's
that. I
what I
mean, you
would
spoke to
say.
so
Yeah.
many things. Yeah, you spoke to so many things in regards to like how you got into entertainment. Most people didn't know that. Some of the secret talents that you have that people aren't aware of, your poetry, just kind of everything about you. You spoke to your adversities. You did not hold back with us today with how you kind of the different things you face, your trajectory, your family life, everything. You've been extremely transparent and vulnerable with us. So we really appreciate you for that. I guess to summarize things, if it was 3 tips that you can leave with an artist, not necessarily during the quarantine time, but just in general, 3 tips that you leave with them that they could be doing or whatever internally, whatever it might be. Could you speak to 3 things or practical things that you leave with them?
If you are the artist that's an individual with no responsibilities or no family,
Okay.
this is for you.
Okay.
He or she depends on where you're from. If you're from the South and you're bombarded down with the Bible Belt and you want to be an artist and create, you
Mm.
need to separate one religion from your spirituality. Religion and
That
spirituality are
was
two
some good
different
advice
things
right there.
in the South. Okay, when
Yeah.
you chose as an individual to become an artist, you will create. Some of it may
Mm.
not appease to people and what the ideas in their head, and most of it could be just for yourself. It may not be for you to put out there. A
Mm.
lot of it is personal growth, and a lot of it is for what you put out there. But for the
Mm.
individual, male or female, if you're single, no response. We're not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend. If you're single, and even if you're dating, make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you have the ability to pursue fully,
Mm.
fully
Mm.
that which you have in your head and manifest it in the physical.
Amen.
All right.
I received that
Any
one.
relationships you have that you come upon, you have these conversations up front. See, it's offensive to tell somebody, when you're single, well, listen, I'm an artist. So that means in this relationship, I need for you to understand sometimes artists have a military kind of mindset, meaning I may be in one city for 2 or 3 years, but then I may need to move to LA because that's where my talent is taking me. And some people can't handle that. So overall, what I'm saying to the single person, whatever you're projecting with God on your side and God leading your path, make sure that you fully commit to that without any excuses. If you're working a job, well, I gotta wait tables. That's what you need to do. It's all a part of your journey. You have no excuses. Learn from the job. Learn from the people at the job. There are resources and skills you're learning as an individual with no responsibility to move yourself forward. For the artist that has family, maybe you're married, you don't have kids yet. Maybe you're married and you have kids. You got to find also the balance, not find the balance because sometimes it's up and down. You need to find the peace and the safety within your responsibilities. T.D. Jakes, in one of his series, he talked about in relationships that there was it's not about communication. It is, but he said it's about a person feeling safe. See, and when you feel safe with your
That's a
spouse
different.
and you feel safe with your children, then you could be the best person, the fullest person you can be without any judgment. See, when you add responsibilities in your life as an artist, whatever that is, sometimes you're pulled. Like, remember about the outlet. See, some people like myself, I am that wall and I have that plug surge, but in those the ones that has the 4 outlets is my family, my children, my wife. So I got to figure out how to feed them power. But at the same time, if I don't have peace of mind and if they're not on the same page with me and I don't feel safe, then it's going to be something throwing that connection off. So I encourage you, have these conversations, enjoy the fullest of much of the family time that you have, and let family understand that you cannot be you can do all things for everybody, but you can't be everything for everybody.
Word.
Let me
That's a
repeat that.
word.
You
That's a
can do
word.
all things for everybody, but you can't be everything for everybody. If
Come
I
on.
go to Target or Lowe's or anywhere and buy some not like God has, I promise you, I will have no problems with my responsibilities and my family. So for those of
Right.
you that have that responsibility as an artist, tell your family as much as you love them. When it's time to work, you don't have to call it support. I got to go do that. That feeds the family. That keeps us alive, right? That keeps me sane because I brought you into my space and world. Now, somebody going to probably look at this and say, dude, no, man. I know there's some wives out there saying, oh, no. No, you didn't. No, I asked my wife, as she saw me as the leader that I was, to marry me. And that way I'm bringing you into this fold of my life. And I am with her as well because she has gifts and things too. I'm very there with her in things that she does. But as
Absolutely.
a sense of a leader, because I don't think it's different for each household. As a sense for my dynamic, I have to remind my family because I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm gonna say this, you all, and I have to share this. Before the quarantine, once I shot Ambitions, I had a whole year and I was just an at-home dad, just a family. I was like with the kids, take them to
Wow.
school, pick them up, bathe them. It was so much
Wow.
fun. It was
Wow.
so
That's
much
awesome.
fun. I
That's
was
awesome. Most people
blessed.
probably don't know that one.
They don't. And
They don't
so,
know that one.
but when it was time to audition and go and need to go to work, they got so comfortable with me being at home all the time that it's
Uh-huh.
hard to release me to go back to work.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So
was so
the
hard. It
peace,
was so
yeah,
hard.
the peace and
Yeah.
the structure. So you have to continue to be encouraged to let your family know if you created one, this is who I am. Don't change that. I would love you even more if you don't try to change me into something.
Yeah.
Don't make me listen. I want to be myself. Don't make me have to perform and play a role. I don't want to play a role at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
I
I
just
play a
want to
role
be
for a living.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah. One
Yeah.
hundred percent. 100%.
When I go to work,
Man,
I
that was
play the character. At home, I want to
yeah.
be me. So I don't want to
Yeah.
play like I'm happy at home. I want to be happy.
I want to
I
be
want to be
happy.
at
I want to
peace.
be happy. I love
Yeah,
that.
you're my
Man,
safe
that's,
haven.
yes,
You're my
be
safe
that.
haven
Let's
from the
be that.
industry. So
Yes.
yeah, so
Yes.
that's what I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. I mean, your transparency is just on a whole nother level. Your vulnerability. I mean, you're extremely an amazing vessel and you can inspire so many people in the community. They were saying, what's the duty or whatever. Black
Thank you.
men can look to this black man, this king right now that is developed and, and polished. And you guys can learn. I know it's still a journey for you, but, it's younger people that can look to you for guidance. So it's such an amazing thing for us to have you a part of this community. And I just want to say thank you so, so much for coming on here. You truly are a king and you wear your crown extremely well. And salute to
Thank
you
you.
and just everything that you're doing, the successes that God has given to you, as well as that what's coming for you. So it's truly an honor to have you on here and share so much because I'm sure so many people are inspired. And again, guys, I've posted his Instagram handle there. Yohance's Instagram handle is there. Make sure you follow him and connect with him and stay updated with what he's doing. Reach out to him, as well as my Instagram, and the F.A.T.E Global Instagram is there too. Again, what we're doing, we're bringing artists on every day this week. We've done it for the past couple weeks. Yes, this is free. We're just giving you knowledge. People are taking time out of their days to inspire you and share their stories, hoping you can learn something from it, because it's our stories is what keeps people going. And so,
Right.
that his story should keep you going, on your journey. So I'm hoping that, you feel that and that you're inspired and you took notes on what he said. So again, the Foundation for Artistic Talent and Empowerment, we do provide these mentorship services, artistic services, as well as financial services for you for free. So again, just connect with Yohance. Again,
Check me out
King, brother,
and check me out at
brother.
yohancemiles.com. That's my website. You can see my resume and furthermore information about me. Yohance Myles at yohancemiles.com. All right. And that's not Yohance Myles, but Yohance Myles,
Myles.
MYLES.com. Yeah. Okay.
Myles.
Right.
Yes, I love that. Thanks for
Cool.
the clarification, brother. Well, yeah, this was amazing live. This has been one of my favorites. So, again, I appreciate you coming on here. We're going to post this on all of our social sites. So, we'll send you the final cut once it's up and you'll just see it there.
Cool. And tell the king, Kayron, appreciate you and those who are on here. I can't see everybody. And you had Mike Bless on here. Somebody tell Mike Bless to sit down somewhere. I know he gonna see this. Mike, sit down somewhere.
Right. Love it. Love it.
Cool.
All right, brother. Well, we'll let you go.
All right. Y'all have a good one. Be
Peace and
blessed.
blessings.
All
Okay.
right.